Hi guys, you are here to be taught some incredible techniques that will stop pain, suffering, loss, grieving. It will really help you manage and control it in a way that you may never have thought of before. Unfortunately, I lost some people that were incredibly important to me, very devastating, and it forced me to try and come up with new techniques, new ways, and do new things that could help reduce the sense of suffering and the feelings of loss and grieving. And these techniques that I'm going to share with you are a compilation of things I've created as well as things I have found and discovered, and speaking to a lot of people, research I've done. So putting it all together, this is the kind of stuff that I think is going to make a difference in your life, and I think you're going to eventually hit a point where you can laugh again. And that's a really great place to be, to rediscover yourself, who you are, and techniques and things you could do to get there, and how to reduce the pain, the suffering, the loss, and yank yourself out of drowning in this terrible, terrible, painful experience. For those of you who don't know, my name is Graig Weich. I'm a full-time comic book artist, writer, and director, but I have also a highly trained life coach in relationships and depression and suffering. And it's very important to utilize these techniques that I'm going to share with you today. So the first thing is what I call the emergency phase. You want to do anything that you can that's not destructive too badly to get through the initial shock of loss and grieving when you lose someone you love. A lot of people will quickly, do drugs, or they'll have sex, or they will, go under the covers and just not get out of bed, or they will indulge and eat too much. I think, if they start drinking, really bad stuff. You got to be very, very careful with all of that, because it all comes down to a self-destructive spiral. But there's a few techniques I'm going to list that you can do, and how to deal with the loss, which I'll get to in a moment. But phase one, the emergency. I have found that the best thing to do would be to indulge in eating and drinking delicious, healthy foods, if you can try to do that. So, for example, when you are eating food, right, if you eat bad food, it's going to put on weight, it's going to be a tax on your body, you don't want to do that. But if you eat healthy food, a lot of good, proteins and grains and things, and you kind of prepare to have some of those things, and you get delicious, for example, gluten-free vegan food or something like that. These are things that could potentially fill you, and what it does is it distracts you and it forces your focus and attention on your digestion. So you're digesting the food. This is a very dangerous thing, though. You cannot overdo this or overindulge in it, or you can become greatly obese or become unhealthy. That's why I say it's got to be with healthy food. So, for example, I got some peanuts, and I kept snacking on peanuts because it's protein, it's healthy, it doesn't put on too much weight. You can get chips, bean chips, or kale chips, or you can get things that have good flavor that you can eat a lot of, that's healthy for you. Of course, you don't want to have too much kale because it could get kidney stones, but that's a dietitian type of thing. But you get the idea. You don't want to have unhealthy things that could hurt you. But I found that you kind of like almost stuff your face, so to speak, with healthy food, and that allows the focus of your body to kind of pull away from the thoughts of loss and memory and focus on digestion, because you're eating, tastes good, then you're digesting it, then you're eating a little bit more, but you got to space it out, and that's the emergency phase. You don't do that for more than a week, like a week or two maximum. You got to kind of wean right off of that. That's of course, if you have found that other things fail, like meditation, listening to calming music, motivational speakers. If all of that does not work, you can have your emergency Band-Aid, but you can't do too much of it. And stay away from alcohol, stay away from things that are going to cause you too much pain, or that's hard to get off of. Now, the next phase is how to actually deal with the pain and the suffering, the loss and the grieving. And this is really important. These techniques that I have created, that I have also utilized from things I have seen online and that I've put together, I hope will really help you. And it's really helped me a lot. But the first thing to do immediately is to make a list in your phone, okay? Under contacts, your address book, and in the notes section, or just get a traditional notepad. Title it the name of the person who passed away, put the year, and then list every single catchphrase, every single thing that reminds you of them, every single word or phrase that they said, things that they did, anything that you feel is unique to that person. Start making a log of it, okay? And you log it down and you list it. And that's crucial, because your brain is going to start going through a cycle phase where it keeps replaying, and then you have fear of forgetting. So your brain keeps making you remember more and more and more and more and pounding it into your head. And then you start getting depressed. You can't get out of bed. Your whole day's ruined. All you can think about is your life without that person and how will you have a life without that person. If that happens to you, by logging down a list of everything that reminds you of that person, every little thing that I mentioned before, it's transferring it out of your head and putting it into a backup storage device, such as your cell phone or an email list that you send to yourself or a notebook or a notepad. You're actually backing up your memories and your experiences of what made that person into a data log that you could always look at and refer to, so you never have to fear forgetting those lovely little things that person did. This will stop your brain from constantly trying to remember and replaying. Don't get me wrong, you'll always remember the person. They're not disappearing, you're not erasing them, you're just backing it up so that you become in control when you want to remind yourself of that person, when you want to look at that list, when you feel nostalgic and want to remember, versus when you're in the middle of work and suddenly it hits you and you freak out. That's not good for you at all, okay? So this is a way to start transferring something and having that list. Okay, and that's your private list. That's number one. Number two, this is also incredibly crucial. And by the way, guys, if the camera shuts off, please make sure to subscribe for updates and post your comments below. I'll do my best to try to answer your questions, as soon as I can get to them. And I will continue to try to post updates. But back to the technique number two that I wanted to list is when it's healthy to cry and remember and when it's not. There's actually a choice that you have and you'll be able to make once you understand this technique. So I really want to kind of point these things out to you, and I hope that it will really make all the difference in the world for you. And again, if we get cut off, if we run out of space, just watch the next video and you'll see me continue it. Okay, so this is part one. So now, going on to the second phase, this is the most crucial thing. You're going to be hit with reminders everywhere. Don't forget, write them down in that list that I mentioned to you. But when you start remembering something and you go through the pain, the agony of crying through it, okay? That's like a class that you took and you finished. And when you're done with it, you don't want to go back to that same class anymore or that same memory anymore. You finished it already. You don't want to be stuck on a hamster wheel, okay? You don't want to be going around and around in a circle and saturating and suffering. That's bad. The whole purpose of this is for you to be that caterpillar that goes through the cocoon phase of suffering and then comes out a butterfly at the end. And this is how you do it. If you get reminded again of the same exact scenario that you already suffered through, remembering through, crying through, no reason to do it again. You already did it. Don't get me wrong, you're going to probably do it a few times before this kicks in. But you will get to a point where eventually you say, wait a second, I already suffered through that. And you have 5 seconds to catch that memory and say, pause. And remember that you already went through it. Jot a note down in your book so that you know it's off of your mind, okay? And at that point, you stop it. Play some music that you want to hear that's nice. Change that channel in your mind to a happier TV show. Watch a comedy. Listen to something that motivates you, that inspires you, and have a little list ready to go. Create a song list of happy songs that you love and do things that will actually help you get out of this stuck phase. Okay, guys? This is very important. Make sure